to you, man. I had a conversation last night with Michael Irvin, and I was talking to Michael Irvin last night. We were talking about this game this weekend with Texas A&M, and he goes, "Sills, do you remember that Oklahoma game, 85?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "What was the thing that was the tone setter in that?" I said this: Jimmy Johnson had been used to getting his face kicked in by Oklahoma, and I'm not sure they believed that we could win that game. And when we went into Memorial Stadium, broke Aikman's leg, beat the piss out of that team in front of their fans, that's when it galvanized the entire program. That's when it was a catapult of a game that sent us on our way as a unit. For the last 20 years, that football team has not been connected. We brought a guy in that's going to connect this thing. And I think this weekend, this is about belief. I want to bring my friend, and I want to bring the head of the University of Miami in here, Mario Cristobal. And Mario, we were talking last night about that game, and it was that, Jimmy had come over from Oklahoma State, and he believed we had the talent, but when you see it and you have the blind faith, I always thought that was a tone setter for him for the rest of his time moving on, because we showed we were here together. I mean, coaching staff and also players. I mean, are we getting there now where people are buying into what you're telling them? Because again, it's blind faith, Mario.
Well, first of all, it's great to see you, brother. I appreciate you having me on here. And, we were talking about this actually earlier. Actually, Gino Toretta was by practice today, ran into a couple other guys earlier this week. And, you think of all the great teams that have been here before, we've had a chance to play for and be coached by unbelievable staffs. And the key to all that stuff was always the people, man. Competitors, relentless dogs that just love ball and couldn't live without football, just couldn't live without the competitive nature, the grind, the opportunity to go out every Saturday and get something done. And there's a lot of progress in this program right now towards that, and coming in last year, that was, when you identify things, okay, I've been away for 20 years, 25 years to be exact. And this has always been right, but it's always been the vision, the dream to be able to be part of it again. And that was the biggest thing in identifying and assessing what do we have to do as a program, as alumni, as a university, is we got to bring it all together and connect it with high level competitors and human beings that will stop at nothing to be the best. And so there's a lot of progress towards that. There's been some really large steps towards, not only from a talent acquisition standpoint, but a culture standpoint, a work ethic standpoint, a standard standpoint. And the best part about it, there's an appetite to keep going. And so we're excited for the right reason, not in a false hope, not a BS kind of way. We're excited because we see it. It's coming together. It's on a track now. The trajectory is going this way. We just got to keep getting better. That's all. We just got to keep getting better. So I hope that's a long answer to a short question. But
no, I mean, because you basically have done, and I think it kind of flew under the radar. You kind of did what Dion did. You had to go in there, and in my opinion, and no disrespect to anybody, but you can't give out scholarships like you're giving out library cards. I mean, one thing that you and I knew when we were there, it's funny when people go, "Hey, you had a 4-year scholarship to Miami." I go, "No, I had 1 year renewables, and I had to sit down with Jimmy Johnson and Butch and Dave every year." And they go, "No, you're good. We're good with you." And everybody was accountable. And if you weren't, it wasn't the place for you. And the expectation. So from year one, Mario, to where you are now, what is the biggest difference that you see in that program from when you first walked in the doors and took the job?
Well, I think I see a big difference on all floors. The locker room itself, because you've been able to recruit some high caliber guys, and in different parts, right, in different ways, building this roster. Some transfer portal, some junior college, some high school, right, some within the program growing, some walk-ons that have done really well. So you see a massive change there, and the biggest thing that does is there's legitimate competition in several areas. Not all of them yet. We're not there yet. We're not. But you see the level of competition being legitimate, being real, and it's driving performance. It's driving work ethic at a lot of those positions. That's contagious. And then the second part, you see, Miami's always been really, really good when it was just made up of people that want to be here, that love being here. And that's what you see on the other floors, in terms of the coaching staff, the GAs, the analysts. For them, Miami is that job, is that career opportunity. They see it like we do, and so that's a strong combination, and that leads to one where, like, when everybody's rowing in the same, in the same direction, the same way, that's when you start seeing better connection. That's when you start seeing people start to build relationships in the right kind of way, and all of a sudden, things just start. Improvement and being around each other is something that you become addicted to. And so we're seeing a lot of that happen.
Mario, I know you have such a tough job today because, back in our day, Jerome and I aren't coming out for anybody, man. I'm not rotating for anybody. But today, because of the transfer portal, you got to play kids, man. And because those kids will jump back in the portal, you'll have to re-recruit your own players that you bring into the joint. I mean, then you have NIL, you have all of this stuff now. The local kids now, because of a certain coach I won't name back in the day, fired Don Solinger, and they opened these pipelines. Now there's other programs in South Florida. It is such a task that you have. I mean, are you reconnecting with all of those pipelines that we once had, and how are you navigating through the current landscape of the college landscape? Because NIL, transfer portal, I mean, that was no factor when Jimmy was recruiting, or Howard or Dennis or them guys. Now it's a major factor in recruiting.
Yeah. Now it's free agency reigns supreme. But
yeah,
I honestly think I thought we were coached awesome. I thought they were hard on us. They were tough with us. It was tough love, but it was real. There was no BS. And that was the ultimate form of respect. And so no matter what, we had the right guys in the locker room. And I know there's NIL. I know there's all these things going on in the transfer portal and whatnot, but I don't think you can change that. I think if you have to change the way you coach, you weren't coaching the right way to begin with. I mean, it takes care of itself, right? If guys are going to seek an opportunity somewhere else because they feel they should play more, I get it. But all right, recruit another player that's even better, and that is willing to develop and compete. Because the word development used to be an awesome word for us, right? That was a great word in the vocabulary of a football player in a football program. The word development is like a scary word for some people, because it takes time. Development takes time, and we live in the day and age of instantaneous gratification. And football is not like that. Football, right? Football is the one sport you can't jump from high school to the NFL, right?
Not in our place. That ain't happening at our place, man. You're not jumping ahead of anybody at our place, man. I look behind me, man. I had Cortez Kennedy, Russell Maryland, Jimmy Jones, and all them dudes behind me, man. And Ed Ogeron reminded me that the other day. He goes, man, one of the greatest defensive tackle positions I've ever seen in my life was when you and Jerome started that whole thing, and all those guys used to come in. I put that out there on Twitter, the comment that he made that Jerome and I started it, and there was a standard. And I like this kid 56, dude. I think this kid looks like he's a player. Leonard Williams, that's his name. I like him, man. It looks like he's got a little bit in him here, man. And it looks like he's one of them old school kind of kids.
The D-line is shaping up nicely. These guys are working really hard. We've really incorporated it was a very different practice regimen that we brought in, the blueprint that we brought in. It's like what we used to do back then. your 1-on-1s, your 2-on-2s, your 5-on-4s.
Inside.
And then middle drill, right? Middle drill, which, come on now. Everyone knows you're running the ball. Everyone's back is going to be, your pad level is going to be that low, flat backs coming off the ball. And then we also added another drill that I think you really like, block destruction, which is like block recognition, but full speed, full throttle. So you got a down block, a double team, a backside scoop, a front side reach, and those guys get to play off each other and work pad level, technique, hands, toughness. They get into it pretty good. So we see a lot of development along the trenches on both sides, and then we need another wave, 2 waves of just big, explosive, talented body types with the right mentality, right? You know how it is. You got to love it to be in there now. Love it.
Absolutely. Mario, we used to sit there and there'd be Barry Switzer, there'd be Joe Paterno, there'd be Lou Holtz and Terry Donahue. They're watching our spring practices and they're just looking at us going, how are these guys playing so hard? And I used to tell Terry Donahue, I don't want the guy behind me taking my gig. Right. I mean, that to me, my toughest games were not on Saturdays. My toughest games were Monday through Friday. Hell, you know that too, man. Hey, people don't realize this. The Rock's coming on. Do you know one of the greatest rivalries in the history of the University of Miami is Mario Cristobal versus Dwayne Johnson? These two dudes would go after each other. They won't say it publicly because I asked The Rock the other day, I go, did you guys? He goes, oh, man, every day, man, me and him would go after one. Hey, Mario won't say it too much, man, but he and I, man, it was a great rivalry between you two.
It was just the whole setup of practice, man. I remember being a freshman. I remember when you guys were. I remember coming to practice as when I was in high school and going, okay, I committed.
Your brother was there.
Yeah, he was, and I just remember, okay, I committed, I signed. I go, can I even compete with these dudes? These guys are absolute monsters. And I go to the locker room and kind of try to meet you guys after, and I'm looking at you guys, you're loading up 5 plates for reps of 5s and 6s on the bench, and I'm like, this is going to be rough. But yeah, the battles were incredible. It felt like you were preparing for a game. When you went to practice, when you went to middle drill particularly, you've spent all stretch time thinking about middle drill.
Oh, yeah.
The whole time.
Your career was basically gauged on, and that's what I want these kids to get back to, that it's what you do, obviously, on Saturday, but what you do Monday through Friday is going to determine how much reps you get on Saturday. Your career is defined in the week. Your legend at Miami is defined on Saturdays. Right. That's who you are. Mario, 2 last questions for you. I know you got to run. A&M, give me your takeaway from what you see. Obviously, a lot of talent there with Jimbo Fisher bringing in. It's an SEC program. I think you guys had the game. I think, to me, tell me I'm wrong, I think the Canes guys walked off the field going, I think we let one get away from us a year ago. I mean, do they have that kind of mentality going into this? Just give me your takeaway from it.
Well, I think what you saw with 2 teams last year, probably both teams feel the same way, that, we left a lot on the table. That, because we left some stuff on the table, so did they. And we don't look back at last year much. I think it's 2 very different operations. So we just dive into studying them and then assessing what we are. And we know we're a vastly improved team. And we look at them and they're loaded, right? Let's call it what it is. They've recruited at the highest level for several years, and they're 2 and 3 deep in the trenches and outside with awesome football players that are playing at a high level. And this is why all of us choose to play college football, to be able to take on challenges like this and prepare and go in there and prepare like the way we were prepared back in the day. And we have an opportunity to play a great SEC opponent right here at home. So our fans are fired up about it. Our players are fired up about it. This will be one of those just knock them, sock them, slug it out type of games. And we have a tremendous amount of respect for Coach Fisher and that program. You interview me before any game, I'm going to say pretty much the same stuff, but I acknowledge also some of the particulars that, we've seen them play a lot, and they're extremely impressive.
Absolutely. I'm just going to give you a little hint to tell you what Michael Irvin's working on with Dion, and I'm going to text you, 2024, 2025 around the corner, and I don't know, we might have to hook one up there a little bit. We may have I'll tell you, Mike said it to me last night. I said, all right, I'm going to say this. I'll just leave you with this, man. Can you imagine my group today with NIL? Man, I'd have 14 Big Sills pizzerias from West Palm Beach down to the Keys. They'd be Big Sills pizzas.
You would have retired at 31. Done. Over with, man. And the best part about it is all of us would have like half off discount cards, and we'd be killing it. And you'd have to sell it before it went under because of all the pizza we'd be taking.
Absolutely. Hey, Mario, you know, I love you so much, and I'm so proud of what you've accomplished. And I know you got the big shovel out, and you're digging for gold right now, and you're going to put – and I believe what Greg Olson says, if you can't do it, nobody can. It's just not – you're going to make it happen, though, and it starts this weekend. I so look forward to it. Good luck to you, my friend, and I can't wait for it to happen. Go Canes, man.
I appreciate you, brother. Love you, man. Take good care of yourself, all right?
You got it. Mario Cristobal, head football coach of the Miami Hurricanes. Man, love the guy. Can't wait for this weekend. My top 10 Big Sills quarterbacks in the NFL. We're going to do that. But speaking of grub, okay, Hooters, 40th anniversary. We are so excited to be saying this to you. And don't forget, me and Tone got something special for you when it comes to gift certificates and merchandise tomorrow, okay? So many great things are going to happen tomorrow for one of you or a couple of you guys tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But again, man, with all the great footballs tonight, you got Lions and Chiefs, 40th anniversary. Go to northeasthooters.com, log on, find one of the 7 locations. You'll experience what I've been talking about now for 40 years. You can also order online. You can have hooterstogo.com, get your grub, go back to your crib and watch the games tonight, Saturday. Or you can go into any one of the locations, buy 10 wings, get 10 boneless free. That's Tuesday. Wednesdays is Wing Wednesdays. 1983, all you can eat. Kids eat for free on Saturdays. The beer specials, the happy hour specials. 6 items, $6. Simple as that, right? Go to northeasthooters.com to find one of the 7 locations nearest you. When you go in, do me a favor. You tell them Big Sil sent you.